That's funny. All right, now I will get going. All right, so excited to see everybody here. I think every time we put out a note that we're going to chat about the product roadmap, I get more folks coming in, which is great because that is certainly how we. Oh, Alex, we're getting a call too. You could.
It is not coming through on my phone.
Rats.
That's what we have voicemail for.
Yeah. So let's get going. First, the usual housekeeping is in order. So we've got in order Build It coming up in just less than 3 weeks now. So hopefully we will see some folks there. There is a coupon code on their website if you go to sign up for 200 off. So I saw that's open this week. CompTIA, if you aim to go to CompTIA and want a free seat, we have a free seat available there. So we have actually 10. So I know I haven't used them all yet, so feel free to reach out. If you're interested in any of these, as I say this, either put it in the chat and Mark will grab it and make sure we follow up on it, or you can send an email. DattoCon, 7-figure in Charlotte, North Carolina. Big, back to Chicago again. IT Nation Connect in there as well. So lots of things coming up. Today, I want to show you 3 things that are going to be coming out probably the end of next week. So, but we always like to warn you ahead of time. You will get notifications in the platform. You'll get an email about this, and you'll have this recording. So we always try to show you lots of different ways. But I want to show you 3 things that are coming out, and then we'll look at the product roadmap and talk about what else, because a few things have been added to it, which is always nice. So this is not live now. This will probably come out at the end of next week. You will not see these buttons right this second because I know folks like to follow along at home. The first thing is that on the left-hand side, you'll see the yellow new, and it says more reports. For those of you that are breach secure now or know before partners, this used to say security awareness. We're changing the name because we're adding some reports in here. So this still will hold breach secure now and know before, but I'm going to click the button and you're going to see some new reports. So also, you know what? Our developers really love feedback. So if you have yays or nays in the chat, we'd love to hear it. So when we log in, let's talk about the very first thing we see, a Microsoft Secure Score. I really wish that Mark was on because he has asked for this. And so I'm like, oh, I don't see him in the chat. So let's talk about what Microsoft Secure Score is going to bring to the table. So we are pulling over the Secure Score as well as the scores by category at the top. So then we have the controls as reported from Microsoft. So we're literally just pulling the information over. We've got category, title, description, score, max score, score impact. I assume that most folks know what score impact is, but just in case you do not, the score impact says if this is red and you address this particular situation, then it would impact your secure score by 8.7% for that top one. The swatching works the way you would expect it to in lifecycle. If you just want to see what's completed, you can swatch away the red and yellow. The rules for red and yellow: red is it's 0, like there's no partially addressed piece of this. Yellow is above 0% and green is 100%. So green is 100% completed, red is 100% incomplete, and yellow is in between. So any comments or questions or cheers for getting Microsoft Secure Score in the platform? I know that was a very popular one that's asked for. Oh my goodness, still more coming in. All right, good. Oh, I see some claps. I see some cheers. Very nice. That makes me happy. Excellent. Thank you. All right, perfect. Next up, so the developers wanted me to mention, this will require an additional permission from Microsoft. So when this comes out, you will get a notification saying that you're going to have to update in Microsoft the permissions again. So the details will come out when we have the official release announcement in the documentation. Again, that'll be done on the Microsoft side. The other piece is phase 2 of this. They will build out a report to show you how it's changing over time, so that you'll actually be able to show sort of like our assessment comparison. You were here, we've moved you to here. So they're going to add a line graph to this as we start collecting the results. So
a very we're not affiliated. We have no opinion on the matter, but if you want to figure out how to do additional Microsoft permissions per client, you might log into MSP Geek and ask people about the tool that everyone is using that helps them automate a lot of that. I would imagine CIPP can help with this a lot. So if you haven't heard of CIPP and you don't know what it is, it's not us, hands off. We don't support it. We don't encourage it, but it's a really cool free tool that some guy who's allergic to making money is giving away out on the internet. And we like him and we think he's smart and we think you should follow his advice, and it'll make your life easier. There you go.
Is this available for IT assessments or only the VCIO module?
This is, yeah, it's not one of the assessments yet. It's just in the, so it is a part of the VCIO module.
Okay.
But it ought to, yeah, this automatically, everybody that's on this call automatically gets this, not in the asset insights. That's what you, I knew what you meant now.
It's not in any fancy edition. Although, Marnie, we may at some point want to present this as an assessment.
Yes, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, we had talked about that. Oh, so Trisha, the other thing is that we are looking at making this a potential health score in the customer success side of the house as well. But right now, this is the first step forward here.
Oh, that's great.
Hopefully that helps. Kyle asked if it was in Report Builder. Let me see if it's there yet. If not, I suspect we will be adding it, but I didn't look. Yes, it is in Report Builder as well. So you can add it as a component there. I'm glad you asked that because I didn't take it down when I took the page of notes as they were briefing me on it earlier today. Thank you. All right, back to more reports. Breach Secure Now and Know Before are here like they already have been. Next up, we have Augment in early adopter mode. So the Augment is a SaaS, they call it they don't call it a big brother tool, but I've heard it referred to as much, right? It's an app and browser tool that has Identify. So we're looking at the Identify component of Augment in here. We're actually doing a webinar with them next week. So you should have gotten an email about that this week. So if you are an Augment partner, this will report SaaS usage. So again, it goes out to, all of the SaaS products that anybody, signed up in Augment is using. So you can see, if you're familiar with Augment, this is exactly what they have on their reporting. So we just pulled over the exact same report. It is showing the last 30 days and it notes on the top where that is from. And then it also has user detail. So Nick, how do we pick what integrations to focus on next? So on these calls, we have done polls, for example, for our, oh, look, I said Mark and here he comes. Did somebody go ping him for me?
He's like Beetlejuice. If you say his name, he just shows up.
That's awesome. So Nick, on these calls, we sometimes poll folks. So for example, when we did more reports, when we did Breach Secure Now and Know Before, we polled all of our partners and asked which was the most popular cybersecurity phishing training tools that were being used. Breach Secure Now, about a third of our partners used it. Know Before, 25%. So we just go based on that. So Finn is definitely on the list. Saslio is on the list. Yeah, there you go, Rafi. It's like I saw you coming. So both of those are also on the list. ID Agent is the other one that we've talked about on the relative short term.
Yeah, just understand some of these we wait on the vendor, right? Finn is still working diligently at their API. They don't have everything that we need, but there's lots coming. Nick, if there's another PSA that you're working with, we'd love to hear it. We don't have any other PSAs on the immediate roadmap. BMS is definitely one that we're aware of. Most of our BMS customers are also IT Glue customers, and we get 80% feature parity or 90% feature parity, bringing them in that way. You lose a couple of features, but most of our BMS folks come over that way. I don't get enough ask for BMS to really think that it's going to make a huge move anytime soon.
Oh, good. You have IT Glue.
IT Glue will get you in the right place. Yeah.
And then Nick, just in general, we take enhancement requests through support. So if you put in a support ticket, they'll let you know if that's an enhancement request that we've already heard, and they'll add you to the vote and close your ticket. If it's a new one, they'll push your ticket over to the engineering board and let you know that we vote quarterly on what we're going to do. And we always kind of announce that then. The other piece with Augment is that it also will pull over as a column in the user list. So you can see who is in Augment and who you should be tracking pieces for. SaaS alerts, Alex, have you talked to them? Tim is asking if that's an integration that we have.
I have talked to them. They sent me some API stuff. I have not delivered it to our developers yet, but we're working on SaaS alerts. Perch is not anywhere on the roadmap at all. But if you have a use case like a Perch that we have not got any conversation with or any conversation around, what we need to hear is the use case. It's cool to talk about the cool new vendor, but it takes a lot to flush out what data points in their tool really have value to us.
Over here, yeah. Yeah, because we're definitely trying to aim for that. And then lastly, we've probably had 3 tickets this week asking about this particular piece, and that is, can we get the Connectwise tickets dashboard report not in Report Builder? So the answer is yes. So this works exactly as it does in Report Builder. Note, this tile will only show if the company has reports. So as you click from, so if I go, so Creative Designs has tickets, so therefore I see the tile. If I go to Galactic Enterprises and click more reports, I don't see the tile. And that is because I don't have any tickets in Galactic Enterprises. So just that's something to keep in mind. If something is missing, just spot check that you in fact have tickets for them. Just like in Report Builder, you can select the queue that you want. Note that this, of course, differs based on your PSA. So the tickets, like the information we can pull from your PSA, the reports all look somewhat similar, but you're looking at the version of a Connectwise. So Autotask and Synchro are a little bit different based on the information that we get. All right, just checking. Any roadmap to get tickets through IT Glue?
I didn't know IT Glue even had ticket data, so I'm not sure that that's even possible. If it is, somebody will correct me. Okay, I stand corrected. So we might take a look at that.
Yeah, the ticket piece is the part we know we're missing for IT Glue users. So,
sure. And we're going to be missing it when we bring Hoodoo into. It's going to be a similar problem.
Yep. Speaking of IT Glue users, especially since we definitely have a few on the call, I want to show the other piece. So right now, I'm going to show you where I'm getting to this information. In integrations, if I click in IT Glue, I don't have a live sync to this, so I'm going to show you some screenshots. We are able to import flexible asset types. So this is, imagine your flexible asset type coming from IT Glue. You will have the ability to either map the flexible asset type to a contract or to an asset. So this has been the big ask from some IT Glue users. I'm going to show you what it looks like for the mapping or the contract mapping and the asset mapping. So let me click here. If you are mapping for a contract, these are the fields that we're going to be able to show in Lifecycle. You will map the appropriate field from IT Glue. You can kind of see some information about the comments here. And then the other piece is if you want to pull it in as an asset, you'll be able to map them as well. So we have folks that were entering, as a matter of fact, we had folks in groups, so they're all in the same peer group, that were using flexible asset types the same way. So we were solving for that problem with this. So this will be available probably the end of next week. Any questions about those pieces and what's new to the party? Again, for everybody, security awareness will change to more reports because we plan on adding more here in the future. All right, I feel like Alex has captured all of the comments. Okay. Then I want to show you the product roadmap that we had put out in Q2. So this is our Q2 and Q3 roadmap. Is that large enough that you can see that?
A little further.
A little more? Better?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and it just fits. So as we go through, and give me just a second, and take a look at how we're doing on the roadmap. Oh, criminy. Oh, one more time. Take a look and we'll talk through where we are. So the first, sorry, I'm moving some things around on my screen. We have got SSO enabled and visible for Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. That's out already. Next up, SSO to enforce globally and per user is out. Auto task ticket integration is available. In customer success module, we have automated company MRR based on contracts. We can now pull the number of users for the profile and have effort tab with auto-calculated metrics pulled. We have assessments already released for the health tab, and keep an eye on this CSAT because I'm going to talk about this when we get to the bottom. We're working on automation of this next. So we've got a couple of these pieces already automated. So they're working on the other pieces up there still. Report builder, the locker templates and goals and objectives, that is targeted end of August, beginning of September. The prototype for running an EU instance. So that really is scalability all around, and getting the EU instance up. That is actively in development, targeting by the end of September. Automating onboarding enhancements, that's actively in development right now. Most of you have already onboarded, but still, it just makes it easier for everyone to use, targeted end of July. Budget report enhancements. So I talked to a couple of you emailed today about these pieces. This is next up. So we're hoping by the end of July. We have already deployed the first two, the spreadsheet view links and the swap the initial view. It'll persist. Right now, we have it so that it'll persist your last view. So if you always look at the spreadsheet view, it'll keep it when you log back in. The last user RMM and asset contact also targeted mid-July. For assessments, tagging items, so I know Greg, you and I talked about this one today. The tagging items and the workflow and assignment, we will get the tag. So the tagging of the items will come first. So that will be the ability for you to, kind of categorize them, group them. We are planning on having the definition requirements for workflow and assignment by the end of the quarter so that we can work on workflow pieces. So we will definitely be coming back with some questions about those workflows in the future. For asset ad hoc, these features are already deployed. So is not missing filters and batch update support. That's huge for data cleanup. If you are new to the party and you're cleaning up your data, practice with a single client and then go to asset ad hoc, and you can do it across all clients. So this should save folks a ton of time. Card view. So we really want to look at this in a couple different ways. Think Trello boards, Jira boards, Monday.com, right? That card view style. We're looking at doing this view a couple different ways. And this would be a prototype of what that might look like. So we could build out feature functions around that in Q4. And then lastly, in the integration piece, Hoodoo. Hoodoo is not actively in the works right now, but the flexible asset type piece that we're releasing next week is how we would need to do all the work inside of Hoodoo. So that is sort of on its way, even though we haven't dipped into Hoodoo yet to work on it. That was step one there. Augment, end of next week. And then we have 5 new integrations that we're aiming to support with the CSAT piece. So Smileback, the auto task customer success survey, I believe it's called. Connectwise Manage also has the internal CSAT or survey tool. And Sasslio, IT Glue, flexible assets, that was new. But we've already talked about that one. So I would be curious in the chat to find out if folks are using Smileback, Auto Task Survey, Connectwise Manage. I know we've done a poll on that before, Alex, but I'd be curious if folks have different votes now on that. So that's an update to the roadmap. So what are folks thinking? Oh, I see 13 comments since I last chatted. So they're thinking something. Oh, customer thermometer. Joe, simple set.
It's more customer thermometers than I thought I'd hear, and it's only 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
3. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that they were making such good inroads. So it's good to hear.
To be fair, we're probably going to leave them for the inbuilt version for Halo, because you can't really track a lot. Smileback's a better platform. I've used both, but Smileback's now part of Connectwise, so that's going to be interesting. But you can't track very easily who sent in a ticket or who sent in a survey. So we're going to be using the Halo version.
We went from Smileback to Crewwho at my MSP, Rafi. So just FYI, Crewwho is a pretty cool tool, and it has a little bit of employee recognition built into.
Budgeting scenarios, yes, Joe, that is, and that would be option 1, option 2, right? Like replacement of hardware versus moving to the cloud, types of things where you have options in budgeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yep, that is that conversation, and they're hoping to at least make a move on it by the end of September for sure.
Nice.
I saw something in there that said Kyle would be happy to. Is there something?
Oh, so Kyle wanted to talk through just moving computers around on the budget in the platform. So, I mean, I can share my screen and talk through it if everybody's kind of done talking through what we were talking through. I mean, log into the platform. I wasn't there. All right. Kyle asked about moving computers around on the budget forecast and then exporting that out to a ticket. And I just want to talk through quickly and just make sure I have an understanding, because I think you probably want to do something fancier than what we can do today, but I want to make sure I understand the use case. So today you get a bunch of workstations that need to be replaced. Maybe they're all sitting in an overdue bucket like this, or goodness knows what the use case might be. But if we identified, hey, we've got a bunch of Opti 7010s we want to get rid of, for example, we can go grab all of our 7010s, put them in a project, put them in a recommendation. I'm struggling today. And then if I put dates on it, I can actually decide when we're going to replace each asset and spread that money around. But once that goes to a ticket, I don't think it gives you what you wanted. And that was kind of my point. We can create a PSA ticket from here, but it's only going to carry over, some of the basics. What are you hoping to gain in a ticket or see as we start to move money around the budget like this? Because if we look at this, December, January, and February spend is now going to have money in it on the budget forecast. And I know I went quick on that for folks. If you have questions about what I did, don't hesitate to ask. But we'll go look at a 12-month budget. Recommendations, December, January, February kind of has that ticket money or that workstation money in the budget.
So yeah, now ideally, in the ticket scenario in general, once this gets done and you push it over to the PSA, should be able to attach the configurations to it. I don't know if you're doing that.
We're not. I'm sure we're not.
And then if you really want to get fancy with it, you can add products to the product tab.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily, but even putting in the in just the initial description when you create the ticket, what machine is being replaced when.
Right. How much of that we actually create? We don't. We get the total cost, but we don't get the rest of the detail, it looks like. I can see where there's value there. Yeah, all we're getting is the total cost estimate.
Yeah. That way, once it's in the PSA, our sales guys can be like, all right, I know I need to replace this one, because hopefully this is going in, you know,
the right board
relatively,
in the right place, yeah.
relatively soon, but not so far soon it gets forgotten. That, you know, they can be like, all right, let me go ahead and put a quote in for this one for this month, and I'll come back in a month and revisit the ticket, put a new due date or create a new ticket, whatever one of you,
Right.
whatever the process is. But at least they're aware and they don't have to come back in and ask me, or I have to go in and update the ticket with the dates.
No, that makes sense.
Basically, if you put that table right there into the ticket, it'd be great.
I mean, even just the beginnings of the table, right? What you really need is this piece. First,
Yeah.
First 2 columns or 3 columns there.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I think that's, and actually capturing replacement cost estimate would be good too. It may be, Marnie, that we need to go talk to Nick about what of this we could pull in.
It'd be
Yeah.
nice to be able to do that across the board, even from a recommendation. So it would nice to be able to go from a recommendation and say, I want to push a ticket over to get a quote created, and it have the information about all of the things in the recommendation. Right now, it's very, very generic in a recommendation as well when you go to create a ticket.
So so from this recommendation, if we can capture this data, do you also want what's down here, like the linked assessment item data? Is that what you're looking for, Tricia?
Yeah, so if I put an assessment item in there, there's probably maybe 3 or 4 problems that I'm trying to solve as part of this. And I want to make sure that gets included in a scope of work somewhere.
So I know that when our guys worked on this, a lot of their concern was how this initial description gets formatted and not just giving you guys an unreadable, illegible blurb. Thoughts on what we can do there to make the data usable once we give it to you, because obviously just passing a metric ton of data is not valuable.
You should be able to do HTML formatting and manage, at least. There's a ticket notes. It's not ticket notes. It's like ticket notes HTML entities or some random thing like that they added in. And you should be able to format it pretty effectively into at least semi-readable system. Another thing that would be nice to be able to do is attach an opportunity that's already been created to this recommendation.
Yeah, I think once we have opportunities as a future issue to tackle, both in letting you create an opportunity from here instead.
Yeah.
Or maybe in letting you attach an opportunity to a ticket from here.
I think the push would happen first, right? Create
I would
one,
think, yeah.
and then once we get feature parity across all the platforms, then could go back and try to pull so you could associate an opportunity. But we have had a few requests for that.
What about the option to attach a quote here?
Would you want it attached as a like a PDF? I mean, sorry, yeah, like a link or a PDF? Yeah, what would that?
I mean, probably both, depending on the use case. Because I can see us presenting this to a client and, you know, having it attached to the report builder in this section for recommendations and having a quote already prepared. And also
be able to pull up there. Because
yeah,
we've got artifacts in the
So
recommendation itself. You could attach something to the artifact.
this was designed for like a bill of materials, though. This is like your vendor quote as opposed to what you're presenting your customer. Kyle, you're talking about a customer facing quote, right?
Yeah. So we have a scenario like with these machines, like we'd quote these machine replacements and order them. And we have, you know, we use Quoter and I mean Cell, but all the quoting platforms are the same. You can generate a link public for the client or attach a PDF and they can sign it from the PDF. And either option would be beneficial.
Okay. How many folks are using a third-party quote solution out there, and what are you using? I know there's more of them out there than when I was looking at QuoteWorks and Quozle, and they were kind of the only 2 on the planet back in the day. Cementum. QuoteWorks, boo. Yeah, have they updated it in the last 3 years? Because it looked like it was 40 years old 3 years ago. All right, so still a lot of Cell and a lot of QuoteWorks, a little bit of Zementum, Quoter. Okay. How is the built-in quoting in Halo, Kyle?
It's almost perfect.
Really?
Really?
That's
We
impressive.
use Quoter right now.
Okay.
The only thing it's missing, which is coming either this week, it either came this week or finished development this week or next week, is in the line items, you can't have rich text in the line items yet.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the only problem we've found with it so far. Otherwise, it's comparable to all the other systems.
Wow. That's a bold statement.
I mean,
Yeah, like
we've
coming in from the back of the pack.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why we're moving from managed to Halo.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Scott. We picked QuoteWorks for a reason. There were two reasons. One, I didn't want to buy Arnie one more Maserati. And two, the feature parity was just hard to beat. Like it was, and we bought it 7 or 8 years ago, but it was just dialed in. So. All right. Well, good information to have, guys. I appreciate it. We may be reaching out to some of you to talk through some of these items as they work their way up the roadmap. But as you can see, we have a lot of things still in flight and in process. So true to form, we'll continue to land what we're working on, and then reach out as we get closer to some of these other ones. But I think Q3 is pretty full.